So what we want to try to find out here is whether we've been able to hammer out some kind of an agreement. One of the areas of concern or questions that have been circulating today is whether or not, even if they do decide to strike, if they would need to wait until the 14th instead of the 10th, that's this Thursday, for some legal reasons. That's kind of the minutia. The important stuff, of course, is whether or not they've been able to hammer out any kind of an agreement. I have to tell you, we haven't heard any suggestion that an agreement has been reached. And the last information we had about this is that both sides were so far off that they were having a very hard time coming to some kind of an agreement. So we're going to have to wait and see what they tell us. Now, I can also tell you that we were told to expect UTLA, that's the union folks here outside of Beaudry headquarters. We were not told that the district would be here as well. If it had been a joint news conference, we most likely would have been asked to go inside the building. Now, that said, as we've learned many times, that can change at any moment. So we could hear from both sides. But we do see a very large contingent of people stepping up to the microphone here. So we're going to have to see exactly what it is that they have to tell us. In the meantime, if we're not ready to go right now, I take it back. Alex Caputo-Pearl, who's the president of UTLA, is here. Let me get out of the way, and we can see what they have to say.
Good afternoon. My name's Alex Caputo-Pearl. I'm the president of United Teachers Los Angeles, also an LAUSD parent, and I've taught for 22 years in Compton and South Los Angeles. I'm here with my colleagues on our bargaining team, including educators from all over the city, from every corner of the city, people with all sorts of different experience in adult education, early education, K through 12, etc. And we wanted to report on what happened today in bargaining. The LAUSD put a proposal across the table that is inadequate for a number of reasons. I'll go through those now. We also put a proposal across the table, which I'll give you details on in a moment. The first thing that was a problem with LAUSD's proposal is it continues to make a salary increase, the 3% in 16-17, I'm sorry, the 3% in 17-18 and the 3% in 18-19. It continues to make that 6% contingent on cutting health care for future employees, which is not a good idea when you've got a teacher shortage to do something like that. Second reason that the district's proposal today was unacceptable is that it proposes to raise class sizes to up to 39 students in elementary school and up to 46 students in secondary school. The third reason that the district proposal that came across the table today was unacceptable is that it continues to not take seriously the issue of privatization and unregulated charter growth, which is undermining the public school district to the tune of about $600 million per year. They did have a proposal on charters, but all it was to create a citywide task force to investigate the issue of charter co-locations. Charter co-locations are when a charter school is given space at a public district school. Often the public district school will lose its parent center or lose its dance studio or lose the place where counselors talk to students in a case like that. And we've already had a district task force to look at the issue of charter co-location. We don't need to do it again. So that was unacceptable at the table today. The fourth reason that the proposal was unacceptable is that Section 1.5, which is the section that allows the school district to unilaterally raise class size, in this case even higher than the 39 in elementary that they're talking about, and even higher than the 46 in secondary that they're talking about. Provision 1.5 allows them to unilaterally raise class sizes even higher than that. So what they did is they basically did a bait and switch with Section 1.5. They said they're getting rid of it, but then they created new language in something called 1.8, which basically says the same thing, that they will be able to raise class size if certain of 9 conditions are met, and this would lead to the unregulated increase in class sizes. And the final reason that the district's proposal today was unacceptable is because the staffing positions that they offered, there were a few problems with that. Number one, the staffing that they're offering, both around class size reduction and for nurses, librarians, counselors, all of that together, their proposal is only for less than 1 new staff person per school in the city. And if you're trying to reduce class size and have full-time nurses, when you've got 80% of our schools without a full-time nurse, it's going to take more than just 1 additional staff person at each school. So not only is the number a problem, secondly, they've proposed to have some new positions for only 1 year. So we don't need a nurse. We don't need a full-time nurse for just 1 year. We need it ongoing for our schools. We believe that this is tied to Austin Buettner's plan to privatize the district, that if he puts some money into some schools right now for 1 year, it gives him time to move his mass charterization and privatization plan, and then those positions would go away next year. Finally, it's not even clear, those positions that they're talking about, nurses, counselors, class size reduction teachers, it's not even clear that they are new hires. They might just be people shuffled around within the district. So for all of those reasons, their staffing proposal is insufficient. The second thing that happened at the bargaining table today is that we at UTLA put a proposal across the table. Our proposal withdrew 6 of our previous proposals, so we've withdrawn them from the table.
Alex, what's the bottom line? What happens now?
Well, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. So we withdrew 6 of our proposals, including things that we don't think we should have to withdraw, and we're going to fight at the level of the Public Employee Relations Board to make sure to keep them able to be bargainable. So that includes issues like limiting standardized testing. That includes issues like increased decision making for parents and educators over school site budgets. We have withdrawn them because we don't want to fall prey to the legal maneuvers of Austin Buettner, who's hired a bunch of high-priced lawyers to tell us that we can't bargain these. So we've withdrawn them. But we're going to fight at the level of the Public Employee Relations Board to be able to continue moving on them. The punchline is that on Wednesday we will meet again, Wednesday at 9 a.m. We are not able to meet tomorrow because we've got to be in court tomorrow, fighting for our right to strike if we have to strike, because Buettner has hired, again, high-priced lawyers to say that we did not give timely notification to the district about possibly striking, which of course is ridiculous. They've known this for months, that it could be a possibility. So on Tuesday we'll be in court defending our right to strike if we need to. On Wednesday at 9 a.m. We will be back at the bargaining table to see if we can reach an agreement that will keep us from having to strike.
How optimistic are you that you can reach an agreement on Wednesday?
We were surprised today that the district came in with so little to offer. Unless something changes pretty significantly, there will be a strike in the city of LA.
Alex, what was the mood in the room?
The mood was diplomatic but tense at times.
Can you talk about what's going on in court? Do you believe have you filed an injunction? Has the district filed an injunction over the date of the strike?
Yeah, so I'm going to get to that, Kyle, but first let me just say another thing that added to some of the tension in the room today, to your point. We found out in the middle of the negotiation session, we found out from our members at school sites that they were being asked to distribute a letter from Austin Buettner to go home to parents that basically outlined the district's position on all of these issues, and our members, who Austin Buettner just 2 months ago had told cannot talk to parents about these issues, which, by the way, we're challenging as an unfair labor practice. Just 2 months after telling our members that we can't talk to parents about these issues, he's trying to require our members to send a letter home from him about the district's side of the story. We confronted him about this in the room. He said he did not know what that letter was, but then later said that he thought that the letter was accurate. So I'm not sure how you not know what it was and then know that it was accurate. So that created some tension in the room. The other thing that we heard
the
during
UTLA
the day
outlining the
was
reason
on
that they did
Madeline
not
Grant's
come to an
radio
agreement
show
today
on
between the
KCRW.
UTLA and the LAUSD. Mr. Caputo-Pearl outlining 5 different reasons, Pat, that they didn't agree.
You are so right about that, Jeff. One of the reasons they continue, he says, to make the 3% pay raise salary in 17, 18, and 3% in 18 and 2019, contingent on cutting health care for future employees, which they totally disagree with that.
Right.
They also want to raise class sizes to 39 for elementary schools and 46 per class size in middle school.
They are still very far apart. Now, if you're wondering what the district has to say about all of this, we have been told that the district will speak to the media soon, probably within the next 20 minutes or so, and when that happens, we'll bring it to you live.